welcome to Fiber Trek. My name is Sarah. Welcome, you are most welcome to my studio space here in northern Maine. I have a couple fun crafts to share with you, which include some gold leaf and botanicals this edition. I also picked up and found a great new book on nature printing I thought we could chat about. I'm going to talk about my knitting, as unexciting as it might be, but I also want to bring you along for a little slow vlog of leaning into fall. I am so thrilled that you're here with me. For those of you that contribute financially through Patreon, a deep, heartfelt thank you. As always, I so appreciate the time you spend investing in this project. It's encouraging and humbling, and I look forward to catching up. I knew that I wanted to lean into this shift in seasons by creating an apple pie. It's that time of year in the Northeast where apples are coming in, and I think that I needed to have this kind of celebration because it's been a rather challenging couple weeks. And I know everybody has their way of making pie crust, who make it. I like to cut my butter in using the food processor and then finish it with ice water by hand, pulling it together. And I like to have that rest in the refrigerator for at least 2 hours. And while that was happening, I thought I would try my hand at a new recipe I saw on Simple Living Alaska, which is a vlog. And are you watching that on YouTube? They have a lot of great recipes for condiments and sauces. This happens to use jalapeno peppers, apple cider vinegar, sugar, and turmeric. And you kind of put it all together and into the fridge it can go, or you can can it. They'll last up to 3 months. They're supposed to be great on pizza. I've had it on eggs, and I've really enjoyed it. When that was done, I was ready to prepare my apples. I love this apple peeler. Is it the most efficient? Maybe not, but I still find great joy in that process. When I'm rolling out my dough, I wanted to pass this tip on to you. I like to turn my dough a quarter turn and then roll and put pressure on it. And that really does help create a more circular shape to fit your pie plate and makes it a little easier to work with the dough and patching, etc. The apples go in. I tend to layer them uniformly on the bottom, and then I dump the rest on top. Rob and I had this with a little bit of whipped cream, hot cup of coffee. It's really a great way to welcome in fall. I was inspired to do some creative projects with pressed leaves and foliage after I saw a video on the YouTube channel M's Place. She does a lot with pressed flowers and different types of crafts, but I was really intrigued by her foiling of leaves. We all know I have a penchant for the metallics, and I really wanted to try this out to use these elements in some of my encaustic work and journaling. So I did just press those leaves, as you saw, between old crossword puzzle pages with a book and a weight on them. And I purchased some sizing. This is a water-based sizing for indoor use. And per her instructions and demonstration, I just painted the sizing onto the dried foliage. These are elements from around my house, and you'll obviously want to know the plants you're harvesting and the space that you're in, and etc. So this was just a collection from my yard. Once that's painted on, it needs to sit and become tacky over 25 minutes, and there are directions on the bottle. And I just am using some gold leaf sheets. I'm pretty sure it's not real gold leaf, to work onto the surface of the sample. So you can press it down, and then she encourages you to use a slightly stiff brush to brush away the excess foil. And some leaves responded better than others to this, and I definitely need to perfect my technique in covering the leaves with sizing so I get kind of a all over foiled surface. But these larger, stiffer leaves were easier to work with than some of the smaller ferns. I am excited to try these out some more with other pieces I have and to see how they fit into my creative art. While I waited for the leaves to dry, I decided I would share with you this new book I found, Nature Printing with Herbs, Fruits, and Flowers. I found it for $1.47 on Abe Books, and it was really exactly what I was looking for. I've become interested in working with botanicals as backgrounds in the encaustic wax art that I've been doing, and also in my collage work in my journals. And this book, as a reference for techniques and supplies, really hit the mark as an introduction to how to work with botanicals in a number of different mediums. One of the most fascinating things about this particular book and one of the projects is printing spider webs. I'm really looking forward to giving that a try. Not only does the book have the techniques as I mentioned, but there's also project examples and instruction for working with different types of foliage, flowers, etc. I am going to continue to be on the lookout for more nature printing and eco-printing books. I really enjoy having these books as references, and I find it easier to work with the ideas versus a video. So if you have any favorite craft books or printing books or making books, please make sure to leave those in the comments. I would love to expand my library. So we've come to the fiber portion of the episode. There won't be much different than what you saw from the last time we visited. This month has had some highs and some lows. My husband and I did celebrate our 12th wedding anniversary, and we visited Rangeley and in Western Maine. But we also had a series of misfortunes which ended better than they started. But they definitely threw us for a loop. It was very disconcerting couple weeks. School has been challenging. I don't know what that's about, but I have found it hard to keep up. And so just finding that groove that comes when you head back or re-enter into a new schedule or experience. Blah, blah, blah. That being said, I just want to make sure, I probably have already said it, but for those that are here, thank you so much for joining me on this adventure, and a deep heartfelt thank you to those that contribute financially. I find comments, insight, and monetary support very encouraging and humbling and motivating to keep going and exploring and being curious about a number of different mediums. So thank you so much. I always want to make sure that I say that it's from the heart, and I think it's important to acknowledge all of you out there coming here. And thank you. So, where was I? I think we were going to talk about the knitting. So let's talk about what I worked on. I have been working on the J sweater, and this I am knitting from the Home Guard, which is a Norwegian yarn, and the Norsk Spelsau yarn from Home Guard Farm. And the J sweater is a free pattern on Ravelry, and it's a top-down yoke. And I've knit a good chunk of this before, and I ripped it out, and I'm working on it again. So here we are. I'm happy with the size right here. This is the second size, but I'm going to increase up to the third size again. So technically, for the size I'm knitting, you would end your increases for the yoke and arms here. I'm going to increase again and potentially increase again. But I like the way that this fits on my shoulders, but I wanted a little bit more ease in my upper arms and maybe in my bust, but not so much. So again, I've talked a little bit before about why I love the yoke pattern top down, because you can really custom. It is exactly what I did with this pattern, the lovage. I reverse engineered that, so I knit it top down versus bottom up. And I started out with the third size, but my gauge was off. So I went, when I increased as I went down, I just increased to the second size, so keeping the numbers. And I found that relatively easy. So here it is. I really love the delicate nature of this design. I changed the collar to a seed stitch. I think it kind of lends itself to that versus a crew neck. So I am now going to be knitting in brown yarn. Hooray, right? So, yeah, so I needed to do some calculations on this particular project because I am kind of you know, monkeying it together from a number of different gauges and numbers for arms and for the bust. But that's the nice thing about this, is that the yoke pattern design is all done, and so it's easy to custom fit it because you're just working in one color, so you don't have to worry about increasing in pattern. So the yoke is done on that. The pattern work is done on that. I finished my first skein of Tidal yarns on the Kairuna shawl by, oh, why does it always escape me? It's like right on the tip of my tongue. It is in the show notes on the vlog. So anyway, I have been working away on this, and I just need to wind and add the next ball and keep going. And this is primarily what I've been knitting on during the week, and because it's easy to remember. But now that I'm just knitting on one color for that sweater, I also think that will be pretty easy to pick up and put down. So when I come home, I don't know if I mentioned this in my last vlog, but just been really, really tired. I try to do my walk and my workout, and then man, I'm just toast. I'm in bed by like 7:30, quarter to 8. So it's taking some getting used to getting back, as I mentioned. I have, for the patrons of the podcast, I've uploaded or will upload a studio vlog, a Sunday studio vlog. And in it, I discuss a project I'm going to be embarking on with Stephen West. I know, hold your hat on. If you've been with me a long time, it's not really designer aesthetic that I gravitate towards. I knit some early Stephen West designs, but his mystery knit along looks appealing, seeing as it's only a contrast color, a main color, and a pop. So I am thinking about that currently. I go into a little bit more depth into that in the studio vlog, my thoughts, what I might be working with, so stay tuned. And then my yarn from Knitting for Olive arrived, which I ordered their silk mohair to go with the new Teton that I purchased for the Shoots and Roots top-down yoke sweater. And I got the colors Wheat for the main body, and the color ochre brown for the match. I also picked up one skein of nut brown because I wasn't quite sure with the monitor how those two would work with the yarn that I got. So these are the three. I want to order all of the colors from their website. They're so beautiful, so subtle, and yeah, so I'm looking forward to that. I'm not sure when that will go on. I'm really hoping I can motor through that J sweater and get on to the next one. Not so much because I'm not enjoying it, but I'm just so inspired by the next project, and the yarns in my stash. So we'll see how far I get until the next time I see you. And I think that's really it for the fibery adventures that have been happening here. I hope that this finds you well and in good spirits, and I wish you all the best and many blessings, and I will see you next time, and thanks for tuning in. Bye.